the 16th. We just made a quick announcement about the presentations for the last Collaborate project, which is the Collaborate assignments. And we did decide to not to do the presentation this time around. It's too redundant, as we already did one this semester. So going forward for the next semester, the composite assignment, I should say, we're not doing the presentations for the second one. Now you can always, do your own type of presentation if you wish on a digital format. But for this one, we're talking about the composite assignment. We decided not to do the presentations because the size of the group of the class as well. Before we'd have, our classrooms were a lot smaller. We would have like maybe 17, 18 students, sometimes 20, or in the the early 20s, or no more than 25, let's say. We would barely get through it in one class session. Sometimes we do two. Me and Felice or Roberto would team up and join our class together and do the presentations. So this time around, because it's a lot of you, it's like 35 or 36 of you, it's going to be really stretching it. So for that reason, I think we decided to opt out for the presentations. So I know you did get a briefing from your other teachers about this one. You're going to create a composite assignment, which entails all the classes in a collaboration together to get this project finished. You're going to be, for this class, you're going to be obviously demonstrating your Photoshop techniques learned. You're going to fulfill the objective to the overall final presentation. So things like, these are just the basic points I want to see, like layer organization and management. I still see a lot of you not do this properly, so please pay attention to how you organize your layer structure, okay? Image placements with the frame tool. This is something that's very new. I'm going to teach you how to do this, creating like a website prototype. Generating image assets is also a very important tool that Photoshop has integrated when you create web pages for web and you're creating a website in the Photoshop application. Multiple artboards, minimum 4. Another new subject I got to show you. So this is all like new stuff, actually. You're going to learn in the next few weeks. Plus, there's more stuff as well I'm going to share with you. This is the PDF right here. So you can see all the details that entails. So you're doing a website mock-up and design for an album art, or they call it a band project. There'll be separate grade components administered for this assignment for each class. I know you have the Illustrator class, you have the page layouts, you have the HTML class, the web one with Felice, and you have my class in Photoshop. It's not an album CD. I believe it's like a vinyl delivery or some kind of a label that goes on a vinyl. We used to do the CD, so it's changed now. So I should maybe change this handout as well, because we did change it from CD to vinyl. So typical things like layer masks, okay, to show image in transparency. I see layer masks and adjustment layers in conjunction. A lot of you use that. It looks really good from the previous assignment. Various selections methods, that goes with layer, quick masking, all the selection tools you learned. Because without layers and selections, I mean, you're really limited when it comes to using the program. So these are the things I want to kind of see from the technical side. Generation of assets for the website coding project. This is a very important technique to learn, as you will learn it, I think this class or next class, we're going to cover this part. So that's how you would generate image assets, properly optimizing images from Photoshop for a website delivery, or even mobile as well. Okay, so that's how that is going to be executed there. So layer styles are optional, but could help with the overall presentations. Okay, just some added effects and stuff. If you want to throw some layer styles in there, it might help, because you can't do a lot of this stuff in other programs, like in HTML or CSS. You can do like maybe a drop shadow or something small on the titles. But if you want to really emphasize your type, you got to put some textures and some other layer styles. This is when that can help you, or layer styles and effects, I should say. Complete mockup, including the home page, along with navigation, etc. I should also point out the other pages. So you might have a 4-page website. So you're going to show me all the 4 pages in the same document on the different artboards. Okay, so you're going to learn how to create various or multiple artboards in Photoshop, and you're going to have 4 different pages laid out. I think 4 would be like the standard. I don't think you need to make more than 4 pages. Good luck and have fun. Okay, so this is how the breakdown is, and you should be a fun project. You're gonna have lots of fun doing it. I'm guessing, and if everybody likes some kind of music or another, I believe you get to pick the band of your choice. It could be an existing band, or it could be a fictitious band, something you can make up, and just have some fun with it. All right, and let me see how many of you have already decided what you want to do. Let me just see hands up if you already have a band chosen, or if you know someone that's in the music industry. It's funny because last semester there was 2 students that were actual like musicians. One was a singer, one was, I think she was also doing vocals and instruments. So we had a few musicians in the class, and they did their own covers. It was really, really cool, actually. So nice to see some hands go up there, to see that you guys are, you have something in mind there. Okay, very, very good. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. Just if you don't have an idea, just kind of look out for something that you like, and I'm sure you can find something to go forward with. All right, so that's so this one's due on the last day. Okay, so I stretched it as much as I could. This is the only big composite that's due. It's due on the 12th of December. So it's like a month from now on the last day. All right. So that's the only big one you have. The book cover, okay, that one is, there's the main project. So the book cover is due today. So let's get that out of the way. Once the book cover is done, honestly, the only big project you have left from me is this one here. I'm not going to overwhelm you with too many of these little projects and assignments, just important stuff. So book cover, okay, composite assignment, and you will get one more class exercise, and that's going to be the motion design for web. So this falls in line perfectly with your composite assignment. So much that some students actually use the animation in their website. So you could have an animated web banner or an animated hero banner or whatever you want to place in your website, and you can have an actual animation. You can even make a video. You can do lots of interesting things in Photoshop and publish it on your website. So this might coincide with the actual composite assignments. So you have composite assignment 2, and you have an exercise or a smaller assignment to go with it. Okay, so I'm going to make this visible so you can kind of see it. We're not going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it today just to get you prepared. And I might push this day a little bit. I'll see how it falls in line with this one, because there's 2 weeks apart. I might extend it 1 week. Okay, so you have a lot of breathing space going forward. Once you get this book cover project handed in, there's not too many things remaining for this one. So we did a lot of work in the beginning of the semester. I know you did a lot of good stuff for all your classes, not just mine. Keep up the good work. All right. If you're getting a grade 80 and above, that means you're doing really, really well. Keep up the good work, and let's have a strong finish, like I said earlier. All right. So I'm going to now. I should open the same window here. Go to the class modules. Going forward, putting these videos up here. As you know, there's the YouTube channel. So you just simply click here, and you can access the channel. I no longer want to put links here and stuff. It just takes me too long to do a lot of this administrative work. So going forward, like instead of just looking for a link, just click over here, and you can find all the YouTube channels. The YouTube videos that are loaded. I'm gonna give you access to my other videos that I have for my other class, because I'm doing this for my other. It's called web production techniques. It's very similar to this class. The difference is it has Illustrator and Photoshop amalgamated into one. So if you want access to that one later on, I don't mind. Like, you guys can access it. But this is pretty much on the bottom is where you can find the latest video. Okay, so it goes from previous to current, basically. All right. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I just want to keep my thing going, so this way it shows up when you look for it easier, and you guys can get reminders and all kinds of stuff from the videos. I do like to continue this even when you finish school. I can keep this going, and you guys can always have access. You can always refresh your memories with these videos. So it's going to be a nice community driven channel that we can focus on and put some more stuff up there. We're gonna have the UX UI class next semester. That's going to be added to the list. So we're going to have a growing community. So I look forward to it. All right. And this is all for my students, right? It's always good. So video class link, of course, the lectures are here. So if you go back to like module 8 and 9, which we wrapped up last week, I purposely linked this. This video goes to Teams. This one was the last one that points you to the channel. So from now on, don't expect to see these links here anymore. Like, I'm not going to bother anymore. Just simply click on this link here to access the YouTube channel. All right. Any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep on going here. So we're going to access this module 10 and 11 and the web sources. All right. So there's web image sources in the Photoshop wireframe file. That's a good way to get started. If you want to download both from me, please, we can do that right now. So if you click on this web image sources file, you can download it on your desktop. Same thing with the Photoshop wireframe file. We're going to build one of these, but for me to show you where I'm getting at, it's good to kind of have a quick peek. So let's go ahead and download that one as well. So download both of these files. Homepage mockup. I'm looking at the other. There's another file I wanted to show you how Photoshop is, very versatile when it comes to like the web design and mockups, especially lately with the new added responsive features that you have to do when you create a website. Just to show you some of the stuff I guess I'll go to my folder here. So there's a template that I have from one of my sources. This to show you what websites do look like. Even when you go to these template sources, some of these platforms, they offer templates you can use. Now, a lot of them are Photoshop based. So what that means is you can actually work on a Photoshop file or create a website. And once it's published and handed in, then the development team takes over, generates the image assets, which you will learn how to do. And then from that, you make the website. Just to show you the scale of how, or the scalability from something very basic to something more advanced. This is what a website can end up looking like. This is like not a finished product, but you could assemble it to get it done. These are the columns that we're going to create. As I mentioned last week, there's a common denominator of 12, right? And this is how most web designers prefer to have their breakdown. 12 isn't a good number because I'll repeat it again. It's a common denominator that multiplies or divides into multiple fractions, such as like 6 goes into 12, like 2. You can have 2 columns, which is 2 times 6. You can have 3 columns, which is 3 times 4 is also 12. You can have 4 columns, which is 4 times 3 is 12, and so on and so forth. So that's why there's a 12 column guide set up in this template. I'm going to go to the move tool just to show you the amount of content that's involved here. This is a one-page website. For you, you might have a multiple page website. For the bands, you might have like a multiple artboards. Basically, when I zoom out, you're going to have other artboards here. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do that as well. Where the columns are set up, let me show you the layers over here. This is how I want your organization to be. So when I say layer organization, this is what I'm looking for. So you have the header section at the top. This most likely covers your nav bar, your navigation, your menu. Okay, things like that. You could have other things in the header, like an actual animated banner. You can have many different things on the top, okay, like a top banner and stuff. So that's what the header is. Then there's the slide. Okay, this could be like the hero banner. Like these two can kind of go together, to be honest with you. A lot of people decide to do that. The slide or the hero banner, the header, the navigation, all those, the top portion of the website could be all amalgamated into one folder. You don't have to have two, but this one has two in particular.
Excuse me, Milo?
Yes?
Yes. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
So are we going to create like, are we going to design the entire website in Photoshop?
Yes, you will.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
now let's not get too excited because, well, yeah, get excited. Never mind. Because the thing is, back in the day, let me just get my thing here. So back in the day, before the smartphones came out, because I used to teach this class in Photoshop. Then we used Flash. Let's say Flash was an ActionScript software where we made a more interactive website using a lot of other mechanics back then. You guys remember Flash, right? Remember the Flash player, all the games on the internet, a lot of Flash websites.
Yeah, I
Then,
remember that.
yeah, right? And it's funny how we went backwards now. Now we don't have the fun stuff anymore. We have them in HTML, but really Flash was like next level, right? So we did a lot of stuff in Flash and Photoshop. Before smartphones came out, websites were very static. I mean, you didn't have to. Well, they were dynamic in some way, but they were just desktop friendly. They were not mobile friendly. Like if you look at 15 years ago when you guys had phones, okay, even the Blackberries and before the smartphones even came out, websites were not mobile compatible because it wasn't a thing back then. In the past 10 years and forward till today now, most websites have to be responsive, which means Photoshop export to HTML capabilities don't fit that equation. You have to, that's why you're learning HTML. So you have to learn how to make a responsive website using the methods, responsive methods, whether it's Bootstrap or other means necessary to make a website. So yes and no, Photoshop can build a website, even do the HTML, but you have to literally do that part on your own to make it look like a real viable website. Okay, so the design is still considered as an important thing, but HTML is another. So it takes a designer and it takes a programmer basically or developer to make a website. You need the two. Can one do without the other? Sure, yes. I've done a lot of websites in the past myself with, design programs and a little bit of HTML, and then, the website gets published. But the more you include the HTML and the CSS is the more you have a proficient, more responsive website. Okay. Sorry, did I answer your question or did I just go on too far with this? Zina, do you have a...
Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. I'll even show you some other students what they've done in the past and see how their websites turn out to be from the Photoshop to the HTML version. All right. So basically, this is a website here. Like this is a website. The difference is this is not set up, laid out properly. I'm going to do auto select layer just to kind of move things around here to show you what this actually might look like. So these are your bubbles. Like it's on purpose, it's kind of not set up like this because I think it was just like it's like an exercise really. Let me see here. Right, so there's your three columns. Notice how I'm purposely fitting this. This is a Spanish restaurant, I think. This is like a template for a restaurant. That's I think it's in Italiano. It's called. It's Italian. It's called Lorem Ipsum too. So it's like it's a Latin type of a website for food. This is your. So this is like, I guess, testimonials, right? Notice how the images and the boxes are fitted within these 4 columns. 4 times 3 is 12. So everything is divided properly. So if you take this into HTML, you can definitely follow this column rule to make this into sections to make it fit perfectly into your design. And that's what these guys are for, right? This is how I can set this up basically. Look at the organizational structure of the website. So this is the testimonials or testimoniales. Testimoniales. There we go. I said it right. So this is that folder by itself. If you have a testimonial section, then you can have a folder for that. You have specials. Hope you guys ate your breakfast already, or you're not too hungry, because you're gonna look at a lot, looking at this food already here. This is your specials, and this is another thing that I think has to be designed in some way or another. So maybe this will go here, just to show you how this is all set up. Another, I think this is another a 3-column spread here, just to kind of quickly tweak the. I'm not even following this too closely, right? We can see how this is all set up to build a website. The columns will help us organize this structure. Look at the folders again. You have, you have subfolders as well. So you have this other folder here nesting these files in here, right? Like this one is here and this one is here. So there's 3 different specials that go into the main specials folder. So yes, folders, subfolders to get all this stuff to be laid out, okay? And then you have the footer, of course, and the footer also has some important elements like a form to fill out, subscribe, book a reservation, whatever you want to put into this. Let's say if it's a restaurant, you're creating like a website for a restaurant. It has all these different things like takeout food and the ones that let me show you a website I just built recently for, well, this other one's being I think I took down a lot of stuff here. It's a Caribbean restaurant, but we took out a lot of the food because of the I think he's changing his menu. This is my friend Anthony. If you guys are really hungry for some spicy Caribbean food, you can go down to Keelan Shepherd. That's where his place is. Very nice, smoking roti, and he has a skip the dishes thing. So what happens is, this is he's got jerk poutine, eh? See, it's very nice stuff he's got. I love his goat rotis are very nice. So there's his menu here. So what happens is if you click on the skip the dishes, it takes you to the portal of skip the dishes. You can order food there basically. So a lot of restaurants take this approach, right? I do also a lot of stuff for Boston Pizza and even Don Francesco. This is another little place. I think these guys are having some tough times with the economy. It's a smaller mom and pop shop. They use another ordering system called U Eats. It's different than Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes or DoorDash. But see all these links that I affiliated with this website. This is another one I designed a while back. This is just it's like an Italian eatery kind of place. And I'm showing you this because to show you what a real website might look like when it comes to the smaller restaurants. So if you go order online, you simply go here and it takes you to the ordering platform. All you're doing is you're providing a link to go there. So I'm using the U Eats ordering platform for customers to order food. I didn't really go all sophisticated building an online ordering platform. Why would I do that? That's not my specialty, nor I have the capacity to do that, because that involves a whole bunch of stuff. You have to put servers together. You have to link different accounts and an ordering platform, deliveries. I mean, it's a whole thing by itself. So these are some of the stuff that I did with these websites. And of course, we got Boston Pizza, another franchise that I do business with. And let me just show you how their stuff works, because Boston Pizza has, it's a bigger chain or a franchise, and they have their own type of stuff. So if you go to the Boston Pizza ordering platform, like Order Now, they have their own custom portal. You see, they're so big that they don't rely on Skip the Dishes and these other food delivery services. They have their own delivery system built in. Okay, so they do their own deliveries, and this is how that works. Okay, so the difference between these ordering platforms changes. So anyways, back to this website here. You could incorporate that if this was your project. I would put maybe somewhere here, Skip the Dishes link, like an actual logo, and that would link to the actual platform. that the restaurant affiliates with ordering their food through them. So that's where the customer just goes to the website, says, hey, like if you type in even Smoking Roadie here, my friend's doing a really good job with his reputation on Google as well, right? So there's his Google reviews. He's got 4.6. I mean, he's really proud of that. So you can see here, he ranks pretty good as well. So when you order his stuff, you can see all these things that are there. This is the place inside. Anyways, okay. So Google, marketing, affiliation, putting your stuff up there. The reviews are very important for restaurants. All these stuff play a crucial role. It's not just a website. It's everything together that you have to incorporate for these smaller businesses to help them out. All right, so back again here, we have Photoshop. Back to Photoshop, guys. So this is all important because Photoshop is a big contributor to the end result because it all comes from the design. Whatever this design ends up being is how you're going to build a website. It's like building a house without a blueprint. You have to have a blueprint. You have to have a plan. You have to know how many stories the house will have, how many windows, how many doors, how many stairs. All these details have to be addressed. So when you build a website, it's a lot easier. You have a plan going forward and you have sources to place. So you can't just build a website without a plan. That's the bottom line here. I know you've done a website already probably in the other class, but that's because you're learning and you're doing something very simple. But if it's a more strategically based website that involves a lot of design and content and emphasis, this is what you want to do. Now, next semester, we're going to be learning UX design. We're going to use programs like Adobe XD. Figma is another popular one, but we're going to stick with the Adobe because it's free and it's better for what we're doing. And you can easily use the other prototype software. But that's another method of pitching a big website to a client. First, you make the design in Photoshop. Then we take it to XD. We make the functionality and the navigation. We orchestrate everything. And once that's approved, we're talking like a big website that might cost $20,000 to $30,000 to start with. And then once that website is approved, then you make maybe an app, or maybe you make a website after that. Then you hire the development team to do the coding. Because why would you code a website and the client that hasn't even seen it yet? They have to see the colors, the design, the navigation. You want their input the whole step of the way. You don't just show up and say, here, do you like the car? It just doesn't happen. Or the house. You have to have the preliminaries along the way, right? So you have to have the model home or the concept car. And then it's never the same when they do the finished version. It's always different. Right? Sometimes it's not as nice looking, let's say, if it's a concept car, but they always start up with the concept and then they start up with the final design. So this is exactly what we're doing here with Photoshop. All right. So again, I want to point out the emphasis of how the layer structure is nicely organized in folders. There's even colors, right? Like if you just click on this one here, there's the labels here. So you can color it any color you wish. And this is how we're going to build this website. Okay. All right, now the files that I gave you, this is just another one here. This is a typical desktop website versus a mobile website. It's still like you're addressing the same thing, the header, the body, and the footer, okay? And this is another wireframe that we're gonna build this one today probably. And then from this, we're going to make something like this here. I should upload this one as well. This is a Photoshop file. Let's open this one now that I gave you this file here. So you can see the same setup, okay? So we're gonna build this from scratch in today's lesson. I'm gonna teach you how to make this from scratch, and you can make this a template, and you can build any website based on this prototype here. So you have the header and the navigation, you have the main body, and you have the footer, okay? So that's how this is the breakdown for this. All right, so let's get started. I like to now do the actual exercise together. I'm going to close this down. I'll use it as a reference just so you can see, right? And let's go right from scratch. We're going to use Photoshop. We're going to create a new document to start with. And how do we start a new document? Like when you go new, obviously we wouldn't waste our time doing this in Photoshop. if they did not have a web category by itself. So if you can see, Photoshop focuses on mobile. You can make a mobile design in Photoshop or a web design in Photoshop for the same reason I explained earlier, for prototyping, okay, for concepts, because then from this becomes the real app, right? Then the bank will say, hey, this is good. It's worth our investment to put $100,000 down. Even the government, remember, they made that travel app with the pandemic. They spent like ridiculous amount of money, like $2 million for an app that didn't even work. So it's amazing how much money these things are kind of overpriced, and people pay the money for it. So you do the concept first, and then you make the actual product. Same as web. So look at some of the sizes here, okay? So you have, most common is 1366 by 768. You have the large size, which is 1920 by 1080, or you have the web medium size, which is 1440 by 900. These are the most popular ones. Let me ask you now, since you guys are doing web stuff with the other one, with the other class with Felicia there, what width are you using for your images, let's say, or for your main elements in your HTML? Do you have like a set width, or do you guys use percentage? Let me hear from you now, and then I'll come back here and do this part. Whoops. Go ahead, Zena, or maybe you have your hand up from before. So I think you just have like a basic width setting set up, and it's like auto width, or maybe you can have a width 100% or width in pixels. In Photoshop, you can have that set up. Basically, you got to have a pixel dimension. There's no if or buts, right? That's why it's a little different in terms of the approach. Let me show you, for example, Amazon right now. So if I go to Amazon's website, okay, so there's the Amazon website. So how big is Amazon's website in terms of width? Let me press Command minus. I'm zooming out here. Okay, I'm pressing Command or Control minus. I'm on Amazon website, and I'm zooming out from the website, just like I'm zooming out in a Photoshop document. I'm on the actual browser of the website. Notice how the website has a beginning and an end. This gray space here is pretty much the background. But most people won't see that space because no one in their right mind is going to do what I'm doing, zooming out of a website. I'm showing you this because it's important to understand how dimensions work, right? Now, you're not going to do zooming in, zoom out. You're going to hit Command 0, which is 100% view, which is what the default is. But you can see still the tiny gray little spots on the edges. Well, we can measure this space and see how big this is. If we make a website like Amazon's, we can match the same width, right? So let's go ahead and hit Command-Shift-4 on the Mac. On the PC, you don't have to bother, but you can just kind of use, I think it's Windows-Shift-S or something. But I'm going to start from this orange beginning on the left side here. I'm going to draw a rectangular box all the way to where this one ends. So if you notice the number here, it's 1499, 1500 pixels. So I just measured Amazon website is about 1500 pixels in a normal percent view on most browsers. Now this also, you got to take in consideration, resolution and monitor size and all that. But still, I think it measures, I've done this multiple times, it still measures the same as 1500 pixels. And this is when the artistry comes of coding what you do with the background. If you go to other websites like, I don't know, let's go some NFL.com. Some of the sports websites that are there, you can see how they use their design elements to make this background disappear. You see this one has a width as well. Let me go to I don't know, I'll go to my team here. Official website. I did even do the Toronto Maple Leaf website. You can see some of these. Oh, they changed the backgrounds. Here, Toronto Maple Leafs website. Well, it's under NHL.com. Okay, here's another visual website. I'm showing you this because you can see how the background works in these scenarios. Let me zoom out here. There you go. See, when I zoom out enough, the images end at some point. These are cover images. Notice how this is repeated. Sometimes they fade this in. A lot of designers will use Photoshop to not have this abrupt ending like this. You see how the image just stops? They do like a nice fade, like whether it's a layer mask or something. You fade out the edges so it kind of, comes in nice and slowly. There's a transition. It's not just an abrupt image sitting there, but they use an image as a background, and then they use this stuff in the foreground. This is how their website's done. Okay. And of course, you have your look 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You see these numbers here? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, because they all fall into the 12 category, right? And these are this is different because it's combined. This might be like this takes up 3, and this takes up 2. Okay. Or 1. It's extended actually. This overlaps a little bit. It's a different setup, this one, than the traditional columns that you see here. All right. But the image is something I wanted to point out, the backgrounds. This is how you got to produce that on the HTML side when you do make these websites. So let me hit Command 0, and now I'm back to full screen view, and the website does extend right to the edges. And you can see how, see, the image gets cut off when you do this. With Amazon, same thing happens when you resize the website. Look at this, it's not even a responsive website. Why does Amazon, a $1 trillion company, not have a responsive website? If you go here, most websites become responsive, even the Maple Leafs websites. You get the hamburger menu, and then when you switch from tablet view, it works the same way. Then you have desktop view, the menu shows up here. Amazon, there's no hamburger menu. It cuts off like that. Okay, so the reason is because they have it works this way, I guess. They have an app, okay? So a lot of people that use Amazon, if they use the desktop, they're not going to do this. They're going to go to the app on their phone or redirects them to the app. And 2, I don't think they need to have it because they're so big that you can just order it whichever way you want, mobile or desktop. So the point is, again, we look at different websites. I'm not gonna give you guys. I used to, when I do the web class, my first assignment was for the students was to critique 5 different websites, and you would go and do this kind of stuff, measure the width, see if they're responsive, what browsers do they work in, check out the navigation, right? Look at different design elements like menus, fonts, colors, that kind of stuff, and then come to your own conclusion of what you think about the website. I'm kind of doing that right now with you. I'm not giving you a dinky assignment to waste your time. I'm going to get you right into it to make an actual website. So we're just kind of looking at these aspects right now. But please feel free to do that on your time if you want to look at different websites. I'm sure you already do it every day. Just keep these things in mind. What's the width? Do stuff like I'm doing. Is it responsive? When you zoom out, does it show you like the end point where the edges seem to finish? Then you have this empty space. These are all things that you might want to consider to see how the websites are built. Another important tip is, I know you know this one here, developer, okay? So you can go inspect element or view source, okay? This is another thing that you can do to see how all parts of the website are done. So if you want to, these days, we didn't have this when I learned HTML. Just gonna go back to normal view, right? We didn't have this thing to help us. You can go to any website right now and see what they use for each element. See, for this, for example, for this, you can see the tag itself, and you can open it, see everything in it. So you don't really have to, I know it looks a little overwhelming when you're new to this stuff, but if you understand enough of it, it won't be as intimidating to know what you're looking for and say, oh, they did the data flow tag or whatever. You can see what attributes they used and different elements to make the website. Okay, so that's another thing. I don't want to get into HTML. I'll leave that to Felice. Okay, but this is some of the stuff you can do on the browser if you have like Google Chrome, or even Firefox has a nice feature too. I think they all have it. Even Safari, you can inspect, just inspect the website and stuff like that. You can see how it's done. All right. So main thing again is let's go ahead and consider these parts here when we design the website. I like to go with 1920 1080p. With this one, it'll basically encapsulate all the sizes in that. So go big or go home. Basically, we're gonna stick with web large 1920 1080p. Okay. I'm gonna leave the artboard on this time because when you're dealing with the websites, by default, the artboard should be enabled. So we are gonna discuss artboards. The height might exceed 1080 pixels. I don't know. I'm always gonna increase it later. I'll leave that alone for now. So I'm not really doing anything except changing the web default for web large. I'm gonna click the create button and basically go to my view. And of course, this is called the artboard, right? Now, the way you select an artboard, just like you would in Illustrator, you click on the top left corner, right, to select the artboard. Well, this is the hand tool. If you click on the move tool, this is your move tool, and if you click on the top left corner, you get to select the artboard. And yes, you get to move the artboard as well, right? Especially if you have multiple artboards happening. Okay. To increase, I don't suggest you do this with your artboard. The only thing you might want to do is stretch out the bottom so you can increase the height of the artboard. Okay. And this is all done from up here. Okay. Notice how it's measuring in inches, 26.6 and 17.2. Well, we're dealing with pixels. So let's change our metric system right now. I'm going to right click on the ruler. If you don't see the ruler, press Command or Control R on your keyboard. Then you can right click and change the units to pixels. Make sure you do that. Otherwise, it's not going to correspond to all your web measurements accurately. So once you change it to pixels, now we're talking the language that we need to see. 1920, 1239. So you can type in, let's say, 1400 pixels height. Press enter. It's going to give you exactly that width and height of the website. All right, and we can always reduce the width as well. Just for now, 1920 is a good size because it captures the big, large, HD websites, and you can fit 1500 pixels into the 1900 pixels, no problem. So always go with that size to begin with. As soon as you click here in the top corner, Photoshop switches to the artboard tool, which is located where the move tool is. So just keep that in mind. You have both of them located in the same spot, because one is for the artboard, one is to move elements in the artboard. It can easily mislead you because as soon as you click on the wrong thing, like here, it'll switch to the artboard tool. As soon as you click here, it switches to the move tool. You see how it switches the tools? So where you click depends on how you select the tool as well. All right, so now we got the basics out of the way. Let's start forming our templates. Now, back in the good old days, and again, the rulers make sure it's pixels, right? Back in the good old days, we used to, get the ruler out and measure the columns. We would do like 8 columns sometimes. We wouldn't even do 12, right? 12 came out later when the smartphones came up and we had to do a responsive conversion. So when we do 8 columns, we would divide. First, we'd do a little bit of math. We would start with the margins. So let's say we do 100 pixels in, 100 pixels in, and then we have to divide equally all these sections, right? So it's a lot of math you have to do this early in the morning. So let me just show you. We would start off with, let me see here. So I'll go with the 200 mark right here, 200 pixels. I'll go from here, go to another 200 pixels. Well, this I would make it an even width as well. So just to show you 1920, maybe I'll do 1720, right? View.
Milo, sorry for interrupting. I'm lost in terms of measuring the width. I'm able to get it right.
Okay, sorry, let me just switch the screen over so I can see you and see what you're asking me here quickly. And who's this again?
Abdul Malik.
Abdul Malik, yes, go ahead.
I said I kind of miss out measuring the weight of the artboard. I didn't get it right.
Oh, okay, no problem. So basically, when you set it up, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to new? You're here, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you want to go to the web category. We're gonna go with the large. This one here, 1920 1080p. That's the one that will capture most of the stuff that we need. When you select that, by default, you should automatically have the artboard checked on, so you're okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to do really much. Just kind of, sometimes I over explain things, but it's good to understand what these numbers mean. So this is now we're measuring things in pixels. Resolution is always 72. Just make sure this guy's on right there. As soon as you click create, this website's going to come up. And all I did after that was click here or there. So if you click on the top left corner, you get to extend the height to any measurement you want. I think I typed in 1400 here.
Okay.
Another thing is the rulers. Make sure you go to view and the rulers are visible just by simply clicking Command or Control R for rulers. The rulers are important because then we get to create the guides that we need to make the columns for the website, right? And let me just go to view again because I think my guides are, well, they're not locked. Okay, that's good. I'm going to go to the move tool now. And look, I can move the guides around. And yes, I would make, let's say I go to 300, 500, then I'll do a padding of like maybe 10 pixels, then I'll do another 100 pixels. I'm really eyeballing this, okay? I'm trying to teach you what we did back in the day. There's a more modern way of doing this, by the way, so don't worry about getting the ruler out and doing math. But this is the stuff we had to do and basically do some basic measurements, right? Get the calculator out and start dividing stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, right? This would fall into other categories. I can put 3 goes into 6, 2 goes into 6, 1, so I can have one big banner here, 2 columns, 3 columns. This would actually work, but 12 gives you more domination. That's why we use 12. So here's the good news. We're in 2023, okay, approaching 2024. Photoshop over the years came up with a better method of doing this guide split, so you can have a nice proper, design, a template to work with. So what I'm going to do is basically go back to my original file, this one here. Okay, I'm going to clear my guides. Clear guides. Sometimes I let the students do this to appreciate this technology and to understand how to break down the page into different sections. But because of the time that we have and everything else, I'll just get to it. But I demonstrated what we did. So we would literally manually put our own guides like that, right? And we would measure the padding, the distance. We would get the calculator, do the exact equation. This might be an hour worth of process, okay? So here it is. Watch this one now. If you go to view, guides. You might want to screen capture this. New guide layout. Okay, so this is really the game changer here with doing this stuff. If you do the new guide layout, what happens is Photoshop gives you a little calculator or a converter to give you the exact breakdown of the website that you want to build in Photoshop as a concept. So it gives you how many columns. So instead of 4, I'm going to put 6. You see? Well, I'm going to put 12 because that's what I want. We want 12 columns of the website. The gutter will be 10 pixels. That means there's 10 pixels between the actual columns from each one to the other. That's called the gutter. Then I can put the margins. The margins can be, I can put 100 pixels from the top I'll do maybe like 50. The bottom doesn't matter. Honestly, it's the footer, so I'll just put another 50 there. The left, I'm going to put 100, and the right, I'm going to put 100. Okay, so basically, there's my setup. Took me not even 2 minutes to do that. So by doing this, Photoshop can set up the guides for you, so you can save a lot of time not worrying about your math, okay? Because you can easily mess this up. If you miss a pixel here, a pixel there, then it might, you know, kind of affect your HTML afterwards if your images are not sized properly and exported properly. So this is how you can fast forward your design startup of your web page in your website. Okay, so you do new guide layout. You can select the color. Okay, I know I got this gray here. You can change it to any color you like. I'm going to keep it nice and light so it doesn't take away from our design. Okay, so I'll go to this lighter shade of color. Press OK. So 12 columns. Gutter is 10. Some people use 15. Okay, 15 is okay too. A little more space. But see how beautiful this is? I mean, it's easy to just set up. You can do rows as well. Let's just say you're doing something more specific. I'm going to do maybe 4 rows. Okay, so it splits up into rows now. But honestly, rows is not necessary as we build this more kind of elegantly in our own way. So I just stick with columns because that's just enough for us to do it. Okay, clear existing guides, center columns. This is all something that you want to just in addition to what we're doing if it helps. This is if you do it again the second time, you can clear the previous ones. So just leave this at default. Okay, so let's click OK. And this is now like a template for us to build any, I repeat, any website, whether it's Amazon, restaurants, you want to do, you know, hockey website, whatever. You can start with this template and you can design any website based on this theory alone. Okay, so first I'm going to save it as that. I'm going to save it as a web template onto my, I'll save it on the cloud as well. Web template, and I'll call it 12 columns. Okay, I'm also going to save it onto my local folder as well on your computer, and I'll go to the desktop and I'll save it as a Photoshop file because Photoshop will retain all the layer information, all the guides, all the setup, everything that's going to be there in the Photoshop file. And maximize compatibility means even if you have an older version of Photoshop, it'll still open this template, which is a good thing. And maybe don't show this again. Let's keep showing up. All right. Any questions so far? In case you're wondering what those buttons meant, this little pluses and stuff, if you click on the plus button, you're duplicating the artboard. Now I got 4 of them. That's how easy it is to make 4 different web pages. Okay. The thing is, I only have the guides on one. So to do the guides on the next one, you have to do the same thing. Okay. Or you can do something else. Instead of making a new artboard, you can duplicate the existing artboard. So I prefer to do that instead of this. But again, it's up to you what approach you want to take. So let me just delete this artboard, click on this artboard, and click on this artboard. I'm just deleting artboards. You can always make new ones. To delete them, you got to click on the top left corner or from here. See, there's your artboards. The artboards have their own nesting process as well. So you can see the artboard holds all the different layers within the artboard, right? Now watch this. Well, the artboard, I'm going to name it, you can rename it home page, right? Home page. If you hold Option or Alt and you drag the artboard to another location, like over here, be very steady with this, right? You got to hold the mouse, right? What you've done now is you successfully copied your columns as well as your artboard to a different section. So now I have the copy of the same thing, which means I don't have to do the guides all over again and repeat my process. It's done. Okay, so please remember that you can actually copy 2 artboards. I don't suggest you do this right off the get-go or the start because you should focus on one artboard at a time. Once you have this designed and you have the comfort, then you can copy the artboard and make the second one and change it up and stuff. Okay, so for now, this is not necessary to make the 2, but to show you how easy it is, just like Illustrator, to copy an artboard, you hold Option or Alt and you duplicate the artboard. Just be careful because the guides might overlap in some areas if you don't align them properly like I did here on purpose. Okay, so I'm just going to delete these other ones because they're not necessary, but that's how easy it is to make these artboards. All right. Oh, one more thing is you don't want to mess up the guides. So what you want to do is under view, lock, no, not slices, lock the guides. You want to lock the guides so you don't accidentally do this, right? So please remember that, okay? So now that I did all this, I'm gonna hit Command S one more time, file save. All right, so I'm gonna, if you want me to save this file and share it with you on the, I mean, I'll be honest with you, what I gave you already has this. This file that you downloaded from the Blackboard, this file here, this Photoshop wireframe file has all this and more. And these are the sources we're going to use in the exercise. So we're going to prepare this coming up with what I'm starting here with. Holy smokes, all the windows here. All right, so here's the file that I'm talking about. This is already built for you. All you have to do is delete the pictures and put your own thing together if you want to build it from scratch. Because if I open this, it looks like that. So there's a little difference between this file and that file, right? The point, I just want to show you how to make this from scratch and show you different methods that you might want to include when building this, because it's not as easy as it looks. There's a few elements you have to consider. You see, look at all my layers and sub layers and stuff. Okay, so you know how to, like, remember how we did the clipping mask last week? Remember how we did the pen tool and the drawing elements? You have to include some of that in here to make the images fit inside, okay? Because this image, as you can see, if I do Command T, see, it's bigger than, see, you can trap the images in the frame box. This is a new tool that Photoshop also introduced a few years ago. So we're going to take advantage of all these new features and tools that came out, which are applicable today, okay? So keep this as an example, but I'm going to do this with you from scratch over here. All right, so let's start with the home page as we are already. We're going to create a new layer to begin with, or a new group, I should say, or maybe I'll make a group after. So first, let's create a rectangle tool, rectangle here in the top left corner. We'll go all the way. This is just a rectangle. I can control the height of the rectangle. You can press Command T if you want. You can control what the height is in percentage or pixels. I'm just gonna do it again here for a second. Press Enter. Right. You don't have to press Command T. I mean, when you draw it initially, just to kind of show you how to control this better, when you create like any rectangle shape, right? There's your width and height. So 1720 is the actual width of our website. It's bigger than Amazon. Amazon's like 1500. So we got 220 pixels more than they do. If you want to make it less, you can, but this should be good for you when you bring it into HTML because you can resize it. The height is how you want to keep a track of, because 342, I don't like that number. It's very hard to do math with. So that number could be maybe like 300, just to keep it nice and even. So it's even numbers to do exports and stuff, okay? So do this as you make the box. Because if you press Enter and you do it now, you can still do it. You can make it like 400 pixels. It'll still work, okay? You don't have to do Command T. That's what I was getting at. You don't have to do Control T, because if it's an element that you drew from Photoshop, especially like a rectangle tool, because it's a rectangle tool and it's a vector shape, you can see by this thumbnail here, you could go and adjust the width and height to any part that you want. All right, so let's go ahead and make this 200 pixels. All right, and then maybe we can put the menu in there. We can do like one of those navigation menus. Maybe I'll do 100 pixels. It's a little too wide here. Okay, so this could be like the menu. We can change the color by clicking on the fill here. The color is important, and when you begin this process, you can keep it grayscale, okay? Grayscale means you don't have any color introduction until you have a theme. So I'm going to stick with my grayscale wireframe composition, okay? So this will be, I'll keep the menu black, that's fine. It's nice and strong. And then I'll go ahead and make another rectangular box for something else. So maybe I'll have like another hero banner here. Here's another one. This is going to be like my main feature section. If I was going to do Amazon kind of copy website format, listen, every website, you can't reinvent the wheel. A lot of websites look the same. The only difference is the images, the colors, the menus, right? Most websites have the same type of grid structure, okay? Look, this one spans across 2 columns. These are 2 separate columns. This one has 6 columns. You see all these numbers divide equally. And this has 1 column. This has 4. This has 1, right? So all these columns are split up into sections. So you can do the same thing. And other websites have the same similar breakdown. Because you know why? Because they're all supposed to be responsive. That's the reason. And to do that, you got to break up the sections and the columns like you would in a page layout program like InDesign. Same thing, you have your columns there as well. So you have to always keep this in mind when you build the websites. So this might be like a hero banner advertisement. So I'm going to keep it that big. However, the height will be maybe 500 pixels. So it's an even number. Okay. So if I go to the move tool, this one is 100 pixels tall. This one is 500 pixels tall. And the color for this one will be, let me go back to my RGB here. The grayscale sliders, there they are. I'm going to use like maybe a very light gray, like a darker gray is fine. Right. So this is my image slider. Image slider that you see on websites like these. This reminds me of another website that I built for one of my other good clients. See, this is one of my websites. I had to update yesterday this hero banner because this is the new product that they're selling. This is like the hottest stuff on earth right now. It's a 3D resin for digital dentistry. So right now when they make teeth, like dentures and stuff, they use this stuff here. And there's retention cards and stuff. All right, so this is how this website's actually built in WordPress. So if I do this, it's scalable, right? And the images is not actually, because I have to make it a cover image. But anyways, it's one of those things where you have like a menu here, logo here, banner here, and you have all these other things, right? And so on and so forth. And those are the products. There's another one here, the orthodontics website we have as well. Okay, so you can see they all have the 3 columns, the 2 columns, the 1 column. Back to Swiss enough, all right? This is some of the other websites I've built. Yes, I have done Photoshop versions of these, okay? But when it comes to editing, once the website's up and running, you basically edit it in HTML. So this is done, in WordPress, and I'm using WordPress and HTML together to do all my edits for this website. But it all starts here, how you set it up, right? So let's get the columns again here. Oh, now I got the guides going on. Okay, there we go. I'm going to hide the columns from now, so you can command a colon or semicolon is how you get these columns to look and show up. All right, so the next one now will be, maybe I'll make some breakdowns here on the bottom. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool again. This is like your best friend right here, this rectangle tool. So I'm going to go ahead and make another, I could also make the space between these two, whatever I want it to be. So that's something else you want to consider. Just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and deselect everything here. So when I say deselect, I mean click over here, go to the rectangle tool, make sure if you click on the artboard, the guides are visible. If you go to the rectangle tool, I'm going to do another one. Maybe this one, I'll split it into 3. So 3 means colspan equals 4. I'm using my table strategy. There's colspan and there's row span. There's different ways of spanning these things. So this will be, I'm going to fill it to maybe this color. A darker gray. Now watch what I'll do. Option drag. Okay, if you hold shift, it keeps it constrained also vertically. It's just like in Illustrator, when you option drag an object, that's what happens. Option drag shift. It should snap perfectly to the corresponding columns. If you go here under view, snap is on, snap to guides and layers is turned on. That means this stuff, you can't make a mistake. If you're off by a bit, right? Look, it'll snap. And it's with the smart guides, it lines it up perfectly in perpendicular with the one that's beside it and the columns that are around it as well. All right, let's make this a little more robust. Let's make it a little longer. I'm going to make the website longer here. We're going to give it a height of, look, 1920, 1920. We'll do a nice even rectangle format, right? I should unlock the guides for now, just to unlock them, because I do want to move this one here to the bottom, so it's like there, so it gives me more space. That's my footer. And I also would like to put some more column structures in here as well. For this one, I'll do the 2, so I'm going to do another 2. If I do 2 columns, it's going to be a span of 6, so 2 times 6 is 12. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the other one will be here also 6. Or I can split this up into 2, whatever dominations you want, right? So I'm just going to do nice and even, right? And this is also going to be, you know, a different grayscale color, because you see, with the grayscale, it's easier to visualize your concept. You don't have to be distracted by colors just yet. If I'm going to move these up a little bit, just because of my gutter there, I'm going to select all these, just move them up with the arrow keys. You could also set up guides and do this kind of stuff and really, you know, home in on the distance of each of the, you can get as technical as you want. Can you do this in Illustrator? Yes, you can, but Illustrator doesn't have this feature to do the column layout for you. I still like Photoshop because of the way it has the tools built in and the image assets export feature. So Photoshop's like your go-to. As far as designing a wireframe, you could do it in Illustrator and then bring it into Photoshop and then place your images and graphics in there. So you could use a Photoshop Illustrator integrated process. And then you go to HTML to make the website. All right, so this is a Photoshop class, so we'll just stick it on Photoshop. And lastly, we'll put the footer on the bottom. So I'm gonna go to the rectangle tool and just deselect these rectangles here. Just make sure nothing is selected. Go to this other rectangle and just finish the footer right to the bottom. And the footer is a very important section as it entails all the, you know, the backlinks and the site mapping and all the other important attributes that take place on a website. So I'm going to go ahead and do this color here. All right, I'll keep it very light. There we go. Even darker than this one. All right, there we go. Perfect. So you can see here we have a breakdown of a website we're going to put up, and this is how we can take this going forward and put sources in there now and make it an actual website, which we will do. First, I'm going to do a file save, okay? And you can go to any website and copy the same structure, right? Whether it's something like this or whether it's the Amazon, you can do the math and visually you can kind of configure what you want to do in here to make it look like anything, all right? Some of my other websites that I've done, I don't know if you guys know, I'm like a directory addict. I love my directories. So one dental directory that I have that I own right now, it's called my dental business directory. This is my retirement right here. So one day this will be like the biggest dental platform. What we have is different dental businesses advertising different, so it's B2B. So it's businesses mostly. Yeah, you can come here and look for a dentist if you want, but it's mostly for people to find professionals. So it's like a LinkedIn for the dental industry. I started this back in 2006. And right now it's on the 4th or 5th version of the platform. And this is what I have with the with my dental network. Okay. So it's a lot of, dental stuff, as you know. We have a buy and sell section here. We have an education section, which is very important. All these doctors have to get their credits every year. If a dentist doesn't get their credits, they can't keep operating a practice, which is very important. And we got classifieds and everything else. And of course, they can join different languages. I can do French, German, or Spanish. So it really quickly changes the language. German is very important because a lot of the technology comes from Germany and Switzerland and stuff. So we have to integrate those, and Spain as well, okay? And French is, Canadian official language, so I got to put all three. So it's nice and, translatable, which is really cool. And I'm showing you this because you can see when you resize this, so it's like a responsive website. So it goes two different ways. And this is set up into a different column structure, as you can see. If you go to let's say you're looking for businesses here, and you go to the listing, right? If you click on this view, you can click on, it's called like thumbnail view, right? You can load more results and stuff. If you click on map view, you have a map view. This is also very important because you can look at all the different dental practices or professionals in North America and stuff. You can zoom in, and I think I got people like, this is a global website. It's not just, it started off with Canada, but this is how we want these to be a global platform, not just a North American platform. All right, and so this is kind of stuff that I do aside from me teaching here at Humber. I do my platforms. I also run other businesses and other stuff I can get into another time. But again, just to show you how websites work, they're different. This is not a WordPress website, nor I hand-coded this website. I literally used a tool called a platform tool. I invested some money. It was hosted in Los Angeles, and me and a partner started this way back, and we built this platform. So yeah, did HTML help? Yes, but a lot of it was done from the back end of their, platform algorithm and workshop that they have. All right, so back again here, I did that website in here once. It looked very different, and then I had to switch it over to the other platform. But I'm trying to say is Photoshop was still my tool to get the design and the layout the way I wanted this to look like. So it all starts from here. Okay, so let's get the menu in there now. If I copy, I don't know, maybe my directory format, you can see the menu is always down here. You got the header up here, very similar to what we have, except we don't have space for the languages and people to do a search. Let's say I'm looking for Joe, all right? You have the search integrated within. This is all back-end stuff, right? So, I can consider that and do it in here, but we're not doing this website. We're doing maybe something like Amazon or something, right? So we'll keep it simple for now. We'll put the menu. Menu is very important for most websites. So if I go to my, there's my setup here. Let's put the menu. Before I do though, let's break this up into sections. So if I click on this rectangle here, okay, I'm gonna right click. Maybe I'll put both of these in the same layer. So let's put this rectangle underneath this. So these two, and it's also the order is very important. So the order is from the top down. So these two layers, I'm going to select them and press Command or Control G, which what that'll do is make a folder, and I'll call it banner or header, I should say. Header and navigation, okay? So header and navigation is all situated in this folder here, okay? The other elements that I have happening, this is the footer, so I'm gonna put the footer down here. Well, be careful because that went outside my artboard. So I literally have to go like that. And you can very easily drag this on top of the artboard, then it's not part of the same layers that are within the same page. So that's that. All these other columns, I'm just going to put these on top of these. With Shift, I'm just selecting them and moving them into the right place. So all these 5 layers here that I've selected, I'll press Command or Control G. This will be the body, the main body of the website. And this will be the footer. Command G, right click, footer. So here I established now my important breakdown. I got my footer, right? I got the body. I got the header. And I could have stuck with the header and the navigation. I could have had 4 of these set up like the other example I showed you, but that's fine. You can do 3 or 4, even 5 for that matter. 3 or 4 is enough for you to break this down. All right, let's do another file save. And just like I exemplified the other websites, like the one I set up here, right? It's the same thing. The difference is we don't have this top section here. We're going to utilize this one. Just want to make this a little more exciting as I do it. I don't want to repeat the same stuff over and over again. So this is a band website or any website. We can have this menu structure the same. I know you guys are doing a band website for the composite assignment too. So we're going to do about the band. We're going to have maybe different song listings that they might have. We're going to have artists, okay, the artists themselves or the band, right? Concerts. They have different concerts upcoming in North America. Maybe they're doing a tour, and you can get some other contact, or you can access the Ticketmaster or whatever to purchase the tickets for the concert. So you can have multiple menus. We'll keep it to 4. I think this is a little too much. We'll keep the menu smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and make the menu right now. Okay, and the way that's going to be is in the header and navigation tab. We got to be careful because as soon as you click inside this box, it'll convert it to a text box. You don't want to do that because I want this to remain like an element for design. So therefore, I'm going to just open this up and select the rectangle, right? And if I go to the type tool, the horizontal type tool, if you click in the box, you see it's giving me an indication. It's going to make it part of the actual text inside. So if you click inside, you just convert this into a text box. All right. In theory, it could work, but it's just harder to control when it comes to the movements and stuff of the buttons. In CSS, when you make the navigation, the nav bar, this is something that you don't want to concern yourself too much with anyways, because to be honest with you, this is all done in HTML and CSS. You're not going to worry about images here. But for the look of the website and the way you're going to present it, you should have a menu built here as well. But what I'm trying to say is you're going to do this in HTML. You're not going to do it in Photoshop. The Photoshop stuff comes from this stuff here, like the pixels, the images. When you export the assets, the menu, maybe, but most likely not. So here we go. Click on the type tool, okay? And don't click in any of the boxes, okay? So basically just click maybe anywhere but I'm just going to click over here. So it's a separate text layer. So just keep an eye out for that and make sure that's the case. So I'm going to type in home, like home page. I can use all capital letters just to keep it a little better distinguished. I'm going to press, watch this now, space, space, space. I'm going to hold shift. Vertical divider is underneath my delete key on the keyboard. Another space, space, space. Okay, about, about. All right, about, and then I'll have another space, 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 vertical divider, space, space, space. You don't have to do vertical dividers. That's just something I'm throwing in here. You can just do text. That's fine. Songs, vertical divider. Concerts, okay, we'll keep it simple. This menu will go up here, okay. I'm gonna hide this contextual bar because it's sometimes it gets in the way. I got a little glitch happening here. See if I can change my, there we go. I zoomed in and zoomed out. Oh, now it disappeared. All right, I'm gonna hide the guides for now. I'm doing all these shortcuts by clicking show, you know, where is it again? Guides. So it's command semicolon, okay, or apostrophe is the grid. So I'm just doing that to quickly focus on this stuff. Yeah, I got a little bit glitch here going on. Tell you what I'll do. When this happens to you, this is what I do. I hit save, Command S, I close the file, okay? Even the preview has it too. There's my thumbnail, right? Double click, reopen it. Okay, the problem should be gone. Sometimes it's better to do that than to waste time unnecessarily trying to figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna double click on my little T thumbnail, which is the text thumbnail of my text box that I made. I'm gonna click here, just change the menu to a nice contrast color. White works perfect on top of the black. And I'm gonna make the size smaller. So maybe I'll do like a nice 48 points. That's still pretty big, but I want it to be visible. So you can do all that in your HTML. I want it to be centered also. Well, every time I do this, well, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. I think I have to restart Photoshop. All right. How about if I just blanket the whole thing? There we go. Delete that. So I just tricked it. I drew a big rectangle. I thought I was deleting it. But every time I move the text, I'm having these errors. So maybe it's my text glitch. Could be a Photoshop bug. Who knows? Okay, I'm going to line this up perfectly in the middle. How do I know it's the middle? How do I know it's the middle? Because I can do this. Command A means make a selection. Have your text layer selected. Make sure this is also, centered. Maybe that'll help. So center your text first. Right? And then when you press Command A, these get activated. This is very important, okay? Because if you don't press Command A, actually they still work, right? If it doesn't show up, what I'm saying is press Command A. Because once you have a selection established, the alignment feature should come about. If not, just press Command A. But now I can see that it's working, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to put the menu up top. If you want to put room for the logo and other things, you can. I'm just doing a very basic setup for you. You can always get more, creative when you guys do your websites, of course. I'm going to keep it simple so I can explain things better. Otherwise, it gets too messy and distracting. All right, so that's that, basically. Okay, so this is the nav bar. That's the text. So the next thing I'm going to do is focus on this area here and put some kind of an image of a band or something. So if I go to my window, contextual taskbar, right? So I don't know if you guys use this. I strongly suggest you go and get your band pictures. So if you're doing a band, you can go to Google, or maybe a lot of students in the past contacted the actual band and asked permission if they can use their photos. And the band was very thrilled, and they were quite cooperative by giving them all the resources necessary that was needed. So you can do the same thing. Or in this case, I'm just going to use, I guess, the Google search engine to get me some images. So I'm going to go to, band, music, band, or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go to images. Of course, there's the Beatles and all the other popular bands. Maybe I'll grab this one here. Looks like a nice, colorful image. So if I'm going to, right-click this image and save it onto my desktop, okay? So save your sources first in the right location. I should have a folder made. And this name doesn't qualify. Like, don't have a name like this. Just rename it. I'll call it music band. Okay, and I should put like underscores and no spaces. Follow your basic nomenclature for web, which means no spaces, lowercase, proper extensions, that kind of stuff. If you don't put the extension, it'll automatically do it for you on a Mac because it's a JPEG or a PNG. Let's hit save. Okay, so now you know the band is there. Right? Let me create a new folder. I'll call this band website because that's what we're creating. And I'll put these sources inside here. So basically we have What's this? Oh, this is the Amazon width measurement that we did earlier. Put it all here. So the band website consists of my Photoshop template and my image that I'm going to use as a cover image for my band. So the cover band, or the cover image for the website for the band. So how do I insert that in there? Very easily. You just simply go to your rectangle here, okay? And watch this. You go to File, Place Embedded. You can also do linked, and in case you want to change the image, you can link it. But I like to use embedded because it's all part of the Photoshop file. So Place Embedded, go to my band website folder, click on the actual banner itself, hit the place button, and off it goes. I'm going to hold Shift just to resize it. You want to make sure it exceeds the bounding box of the actual of the cover rectangle, right? So when you press enter right now, the image looks like it's there, but your job is to insert it within the actual box. So what you have to do for that is, as long as it's in the same layer component, see the box is here, the image is there, right? What you want to do is you want to insert this in here. There's two ways of doing it, right? Well, probably more than two, but those are the two that work the best, I think. If you hold Option and you click right between the two layers, like this, Option or Alt, and you click right here, you'll get this little thumbnail. It looks like it's indenting a clipping mode. So this is the clipping. So when you click, what happens is the image goes inside this box or this rectangle. And this is how traditionally you can make a clipping mask in Photoshop. I didn't really do this trick with you last time. I was focusing more on the pen tool and the paths and all the other stuff. But that's how you do it, okay? Another way to do it is you click, I guess, here on the image, and you right-click, create clipping mask, okay? So I like to just do Option click. It's so much faster and more directly accessible to do it than you looking for the menu, because then you have to go to, again, you can do it from here. Release clipping mask. Release means undo it. Make the clipping mask means create clipping mask. Option Command G. Okay, so either you want to do it this way, that way, right click, or Option click, releases and applies is how you do it. Okay, so very clever way to kind of place into the website. Same thing goes for these other rectangular images. You want to put some more content, some more images, you go do the same thing, okay? I'm just going to grab some more sources from here. I'm going to do a file save first. Let me make sure I'm not talking to myself in case you guys are still there. I want to make sure everybody's on point. All right, is everybody still there? Okay, good. Sometimes I got to check from time to time. All right, any questions so far? Good, all right. Thank you for the thumbs up. Tells me that my mic works and you're listening and you're paying attention. Very good. All right, so now what? So now we got a band image. We might get some other things in here, perhaps other related images to music or whatever. I'm going to leave this up to you, obviously, because it's a lot of work to go through the process, right? I did give you a folder. I'm going to use this folder here. Instead of me looking for images in Google, there's a folder I gave you called image sources. You can utilize that for now. I don't think it's all band related, but it's just images to use. And there's a lot of images of things like shoes and stuff and bikes and things like that. I've used this for a while now, so whatever. It works to cover the process, okay? So these image sources, I'm gonna dump this folder inside my web folder. It's very good that you do this. And a lot of times you just call it images, okay? You don't want to keep the space. So to be honest with you, we should call this just images. Okay, that's how you properly put a folder or a layer structure. Then you have your HTML file, and these are your work files. So this technically goes in here, okay? And this Photoshop file is here, image folder here. You're gonna generate HTML file outside. So all your web files are here. You can have multiple pages. So HTML, 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 images, CSS, JavaScript, if you have all those files in here. This is like your main master folder for your website. So nothing different than what you're learning in your HTML. The difference is you have Photoshop incorporated this time. All right. So let me just quickly do another save as, because I moved the location. It probably got really confused right now. So I'm going to go to the band website. I'll save it in here. Actually, no, I already have it saved. Save as. Web templates. I guess I'm saving it twice. I'll save it in here as well. I'll call this band website. And of course, I'm going to put an underscore just to keep my nomenclature in order. So there it is. And just so I don't have, I got two of them now. Just going to delete one. Keep one, delete the other. There we go. I don't need three. I have another one. I think I see like too many here. All right, just be careful when you do this. Make sure you don't delete the wrong one. Okay, so let's keep building this website now. We have some image sources to play with, so we don't waste too much time. There's our images. We're going to incorporate these images inside my website here. Same thing goes. I'm going to select this rectangle here, go to File. Let me show you how linked works, because if you place link, for example, and you go to Images and you change, I don't know, let's bring this color here. This one, right? And I'm going to scale it down, right? Press Enter and simply do Option click to put it within the box like that. The good thing about this is you can still press Command T or Control T and resize the content within the box like you would in InDesign, right? If you go smaller, of course, it's gonna, you know, surpass the area. Then you can see the colors. If that's what you want to do, I guess it might work. But try not to do that if it's not necessary or intentional. So the reason why it's linked, because it has this link action on. If you do want to edit the file, if you simply like double click on the link, it'll open the image separately. So what's good about this is you can actually edit the image independently. So I can change this. Let's add a green stripe, for example, right? So I'm going to use this, selection tool here. I'll press Command U very quickly, hue and saturation, and I'll change this to green, right? Let's just say that's what I want to do, right? So as soon as I hit, see, as soon as I hit save, I'm just curious if it does it dynamic. As soon as I press save, close, look, it updated automatically to green. Right? So you can edit the images independently. Sometimes Illustrator files, you can edit the Illustrator files in Illustrator and it'll update the Photoshop file. That's what's good about linking images as opposed to like embedding them. But to be honest with you, I could have done the same thing here. I could have also edited the image in Photoshop. So in Photoshop terms, it doesn't matter. If it's external, like Illustrator files, I think that's when you can take full advantage of this capability. Okay, let's do another one over here. Place linked. Let's just stick with linked because I don't want to mix up everything together. This one's going to be, let's bring in this image here. This is not band related at all, but whatever. So option click. All right, here's another one. File, place linked. This is good for like about me page or something like that, but for now we'll just use a person. Okay, press enter, option click. Okay, so there's all the images that we have. And we use the clipping mask method, okay? And that works, no problem. But there's another method I want to show you. And this came out actually a few years ago. It took a while to get used to because I'm so used to doing it this way. But this other method came up and I was like, okay, it's not bad in terms of how it works. And I'm going to use this for content. I'll use this for the frame tool. I'll just switch this up a little bit so I can have different things happen. So basically how this other method works is what you do is you let me just close this down. I'm in the body here. It's sort of using boxes like these, right? I'm gonna extend the height for the website a bit. I'm gonna go to the homepage tab and just drag this down. So this website's gonna be a lot longer, maybe 2,400 pixels in height. So I need more space, which means I'm gonna go ahead and click on this footer here, bring it down. Maybe I'll select all these. Be careful when you do this, you're only moving these elements. So to select all these 5 elements, I'm gonna look at my mouse. I'm gonna go over here, click and drag a selection like that. Just like an Illustrator type of technique. You can select all of them. Whoops. I think I selected this one by accident as well. It's gonna hold Command, deselect. All right, I just want to add some text in there. That's why I'm going to make some room here, show some content. I'll do the same thing over there as well. All right. And then I'm going to increase the height a bit more. It really doesn't matter what height you're going to use it on, but you could keep the numbers even. You know, like let's go 2,800. There, that's why I don't have to keep scrunging for space. All right, so I got enough space here to deal with. I'm going to move this down. The columns remain the same. You see, that's why I don't do rows, because rows just take away from the limitations. And I'm going to go ahead and, I forgot to lock my columns again. I'll go to lock guides, I meant, which is the columns, the same thing. The guides make the columns. And now I have a more robust way I can show you this stuff. All right. So I'll put some text in here first just to describe what's happening here with this. I'm going to select all these again. See, this image exceeds the area. That's why it keeps being selected. So I'm just going to deselect image like that. Select these again. And with Command, deselect that band image so it doesn't affect that at all. Okay, perfect. I'm going to draw a text box. So keep in mind, text boxes are still text boxes. You can just use them like that. Resize them accordingly. I'll change the font color. I'll leave lorem ipsum for now, okay? And if I want to fill this area a little more, I'm just going to copy and paste. All right, so this is some of the content that we have. Now I'm going to put some more content here just to utilize the text boxes as well as the image boxes as well. Okay, so I'm going to hide this bar here. It's getting a little on the way. Let's see here. All right, so the lorem ipsum, this text box, I guess I'll put it part of the header. So I'm going to put it in here. Okay, so we'll be, again, I'm going to move it down to this area over here. So it's part of the header that's not getting in the way. And this is the body. So you really have to know your layer management skills to get this, you know, working the way you want it to. So just be mindful. So back to the body now. This is what I was getting at. You can use these boxes for text. Okay, all you have to do is literally click on the box. Instead of drawing a text box like I did up here, I can click inside this box and convert this into a text box, basically. That's what I'm getting at. You can, of course, make the left alignment. you know, you can obviously go ahead and resize the box within the content, which is kind of cool, right? So you can move the text box within the content. You can make it smaller, right? Just make it a little smaller, the text. You can make little buttons and stuff like they have on the websites. You can change the color, right? You can change the box color. If you double click, you can change it to any color you want, right? Some of the web assets you can make, let me just do another little box here. So if I click on this box, make sure I'm in the same layer here, right? I'm going to create another little thing here. This could be I think I have to do it this way because it's an object, right? So we're gonna go, you know, find out more, or just make a box here. Put like a link button. You know, call to action, I guess, could be initiated here. So you can put a like a click here or whatever link you want. Whatever. Okay, I'll move it over here. You can put a little arrow here, design all your stuff. You can match the colors, make it a little darker perhaps, right? To make these other little accents and stuff, we call them, for you know, for the call to actions and stuff. You can make objects from here. You can use a custom shape tool, and you can literally grab this was bothering me. The text box was too big. Make sure it's always aligned with your content. This custom shape tool, you can basically pick any shapes. Look how the shapes you have. You have, you know, little icons you can find, like an animal here, boats. I think you have the arrows and stuff somewhere here. You have to look for it. If you append the, you can import shapes, append default shapes. You can do lots of different things, right? So, you know, you can draw an arrow. You can use some kind of like some of the web elements to help you. Let's do some leaf flowers. Maybe I'll just click on the little band there. There, let's do one of those. Okay, hold shift. Right, and of course you can change this to anything that you want to match your icons and images and stuff. Okay, I don't like that really too much. All right, there we go. Right, so the details is all about you executing this. Sometimes in HTML you can do a better job with the buttons and arrows and stuff. It's got a lot of styles you can include, but at least you have the idea. So now you know what to do when you get to the HTML part, right? Okay, so let's get down to this next section here. This is where we're gonna put an actual image, but instead of using a traditional box like I've been using so far, I'm gonna delete it, right? I'm gonna delete it, open up my columns, and this time I'll show you the new and infamous frame tool. We never covered this yet. So here it is right there. It's the third one down from the right column. So there's 2 columns in the toolbox. It's called the frame tool. We can play the little tutorial.
The frame tool allows you to create placeholder frames, which can later be filled with placed images. This convenient tool is perfect for planning compositions, organizing your design elements, or creating mockups. To access the frame tool, press K on your keyboard or find it in the toolbar. Click and drag to draw a frame on the canvas. You can add an image to the frame by dragging and dropping directly into the frame. It will automatically scale to fit the frame's dimensions. Both the frame and the image inside can be selected, resized, or rotated together or separately. To select the frame or image independently, use the Move tool. Click to select the frame and double-click to select the image. To replace an image in a frame, simply drag and drop a new image on top of the frame. The new image will automatically scale to fit the frame, replacing the previous image.
Pretty cool. All right. So that's how this stuff works. I wonder, let me just see what kind of frame did he make there?
Placed images. This convenient tool is perfect for planning compositions, organizing your design elements, or creating with placed.
Right. So you can see how easy it is. It's fairly simple. You just click on the frame tool to make it work. They added a round one as well. So you do have an elliptical frame tool and a rectangular one. There's the only two options. To make a custom one, you can just draw one with a pen tool, really. Okay, you can make your own and do the clipping. For now, the way this is orchestrated is one or the other. So let's go ahead and let's make a round one. Why not? Let's make a round one here. There we go. I don't know where this thing came from, but we'll just have to delete it. I'll just delete that frame, the image that was there. I'm going to position this into my, it's in the body. That's good. All right. I'm going to drag and drop an image, or we can just go file place, right? Let's do the drag and drop. I honestly wasn't sure if you can drag and drop, but now that I watched a little tutorial, it reminded me that you can. Let's go ahead and drag this image of this one here. There we go. Right now, the image has to exceed the bounding box for it to work. Notice how the placement is different. It's more like a clipping. You have the box here and the image here. You can select each one independently. Whereas the way we did it earlier, the clipping mask, it's one on top of the other. So whatever you're into, whatever you like, you can kind of use both methods. Demonstrate that you can do both in your composite, so I can see that you can use both methods. I'm going to press Command T right now and just resize this image big enough to show within my frame here. Press Enter and just move it to a different position. And this is how I can utilize my frame tool to move it. Now, keep in mind, if you click in here, you select the whole thing. If you double click, you're selecting the content like you would in InDesign. It's the same approach. To move the whole thing, you simply click on the whole layer, and you can scale the whole thing as well together as well. Okay, so you can do lots of
Milo.
things. Yeah.
I'm on the frame tool and it's just giving me the box option. I don't see a circle.
So if you click on the frame tool up here, you only see the box, not the circle.
Oh, on the side. Okay, I see it. So I have to go to the top.
And don't confuse this one with this one. Like this is, and they all look similar. The frame tool is only just press K, and that's the frame tool for the shortcut. So it's, yeah, there's even no sub tools with it. It's just by itself. A lot of people mistaken the frame tool with the rectangle tool. They're completely different. One's all the way down here. This one's all the way up here. So make sure. Okay. All right, very good. So let's keep going. I'm going to put this one up here. You don't want to do an overlap because that's not going to work with your web stuff. So just keep it independent. Oh, that's what happened. The image that was here, be careful, because if this overlapped this area, the image that used to belong here, it trapped in here. That's why it kind of disappeared, and I noticed something weird happened when I made this. So to correct it, I'm just going to click on this image right now, right? Let's do another frame tool. I'm just going to delete this and do another frame. This time I'll do a rectangular frame tool, which is more common and more useful, I think. I don't know if you want to make the elliptical ones. If it works for whatever design reason, that's fine. See, same thing happened here. When I did it, it took over that image because it's in the same realm. So be careful with this frame tool. It gets territorial if it's just because you're mixing two different systems. I was showing you one thing, then another thing, and that's what happens. So if I do it, if I do it here, let's see if it does it again. I'll make a small one there. So make a small one first, and then just kind of Oh, as soon as it takes over that image. Let's see how that happens again. Alrighty. I mean, I can lock the layers if I want to. That's another way to get around it. But why don't we just put an image in here and then we can resize it. So just draw a little frame tool or just stick with one system. Maybe that's easier to understand. And I'm gonna bring the other image now. Let's bring this other image here. Here we go. Drag and drop, right? Once it's in here, then you can go ahead and do your resizing. So I'm gonna resize it. Well, not the image, the whole thing. There's the frame tool. I'm gonna resize it to fit my bounding boxes, right? If that happens, you can lock layers to prevent this from happening, or you can just do what I did, do a smaller one and then do the bigger one after. So Command T, because look, in theory, they're overlapping. Like this is overlapping this. This is overlapping that because these images are bigger than their content. See this? This image, right, overlaps this frame. That's why when you draw a frame and it overlaps this area, the image encompasses that, you know, element and it becomes part of it. So just be careful when you do this. You gotta kind of be a little mindful of how you overlap your shapes, okay? All right, so let's do another, you know, text box or something. Let's be a little more creative if we want. You know, we're in Photoshop, why not? I'm gonna just quickly do a file save. I'm gonna use the text tool just to review some of the things we learned like a week ago or two. So maybe I'm gonna do click here, click over here with Shift, right? And I'm gonna click maybe all the way over here, just to do a round kind of thing. And remember to cut the anchor point, remember it doesn't work like it does in Illustrator. You got to option click or alt click on the PC there. I'm just gonna keep holding Shift. So I just drew a custom shape here surrounding this design element and see if I can do something with this. I'm gonna go with the type tool and just simply click inside and change the color to, you know, like a grayish color here. And copy and paste, right? I'm just gonna delete some of this stuff here. Sometimes if you have more content, that's what happens. All right, and now I have a nice, you know, text wrap option available. And I'm sure you can do that with CSS or HTML and do the same kind of thing, right? So you can see how's this design as if you know, I spent maybe an hour doing this, maybe a little more. You know, if you invest the time, you can pretty much make any website look like anything you like from a conceptual standpoint, and then make it a real HTML website after. This is the footer area. This is where we put some of the sitemaps, social media, all these kind of icons. Let me just quickly see how I have the body here set up. The footer is here, the header is there. The body is like a really big part of my area, so I'm going to focus on the footer. Let's get some social media icons. You can get your icons from different sources. I can get some, you know, black and white ones. These ones here. Right click. You can save this image as. I'll save it onto my desktop for now, maybe in my folder here. Under images. Yeah. I should have renamed it, but that's fine. And the way I'm going to approach this one is I'm going to open these separately, right? So I'm going to go ahead and right click, open with Photoshop. So it's a separate image altogether, right? I'm going to first target, I don't know, maybe I'll do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I'm going to use the object selection tool, okay? Oh, it's index. Good, I'm glad this happened. Index means you can't do anything to the image because it's from the web. Sometimes they index it. Index only means it's less than 256 colors, and the color mode is indexed. You can't edit indexed images. I don't know if this happened to you before, but if it did, you probably gave up and got another image. But did you know that you can convert it to RGB by simply selecting RGB instead of the original index color? I switch it to RGB. Now this image becomes fully editable. Photoshop was able to convert it, and I can easily do, you know, things like this. I'm just going to select this whole area here. So copy. Actually, I can even do this. The good old magic wand might work nicely because I don't want the white part. I'm just going to click on the little black area. But notice how it's selecting all the black because I have contiguous off. If I turn it on and then I click on just this part, it only selects that Facebook part. So another review here for you in case you forgot. Contiguous or contiguous means you select everything or just that one color within that selection. So I'm going to copy the Facebook icon, go over here in the footer group, paste. Okay, so this will go right over here. So it's nice and transparent. Okay, so nice and transparent here. We'll just erase that. All right, going back here again, let's grab another social media. We're going to use Twitter or X, right? Copy, paste, and line those up. And we'll do LinkedIn as well. Copy, paste. I like doing this because it's also, well, first of all, it's nice if these were vector, so you can scale them up and stuff. But the fact that they're pretty decent, and I'm going to make them smaller than this, we're okay. Let's get one more, and I think this means we'll get the, which one should we get? Maybe Instagram, I guess. Yeah, Instagram. So shift click. This one involves multiple clicks within the black selections. So copy that. Paste. Oops, I've grabbed the wrong one there. So be careful when you do that. Sometimes we can do just hide the layer. Move this one here, right? Just make the layer visible again. Or you can lock the layer, unlock the layer. It's up to you. All right, how do I distribute these evenly? Now, I can do this. The smart guides help me do that. But let's just say I do this and this and that. And that. How do I even these out perfectly? How do I make these nice and even? So first thing is first, I select all the social media icons. I should also name them. I want you to practice proper, you know, naming conventions and stuff. Name your layers, name your groups, name your files. Very important, okay? We're supposed to do this for everything, not just for my class, for all your classes. So I don't know if your teachers emphasize this, but it's very important. So I select all four. I'm going to go up here now. I'm going to line them all to the top of each other by going like this, top or middle, right? There's also another option called distribute. Okay, this is the hidden one. So watch this one. It's called distribute, means make them all the same distance from one another. So distribute means this one here would give you the perfect result. Distribute horizontal centers. And there's the buttons perfectly distributed from the center. So obviously you got to count them being the same size and everything else that goes with it. So make sure that's the case. I can even put these in a group and call it social. Okay, so the social folder is inside this folder. And here's what's good about grouping these. I can double click and do like a color overlay and change them to any color that I wish. Okay, so I can do any color that I want for this. Right? Let me get this dark blue in there, right? Any color, because this effect now affects all the layers in that folder. Very cool feature that you don't have to do one by one, you can just do the whole thing, right? And then, right, so this becomes your, sitemap. You can do all the details and all the stuff that you need to, and eventually this becomes a website. I'm going to select the footer here, move it up. Well, you might want to add also something down here. copyright, because it's a band, right? 2023, all rights reserved. This is a common legal disclaimer on some websites. It just keeps the perpetrators away. I'm going to make this 20 points, maybe 32, just so you can see it. Whoops. Right. Just to make it more legitimate. Okay, so center that. Where is the center? Well, let's go up here and go middle. There we go, middle center. So this is how you build your website, okay? So everything is nicely inserted in different sections. You have the footer, you have the body, and you have the header and navigation. And you can, again, split it up into more dominations if you feel like it. But once you do this, then the other part is basically creating these assets for the HTML, which is something that we're going to cover next week. I'm going to show you how to convert these into assets, and then we'll get into the animation and all the other fun stuff as well. Just move this down a bit here. This one, I'm just going to select all of this. There we go. Save. All right. To make a different page, this is the home page, so it's gonna have a lot of stuff in there. You're gonna talk about the band and everything that's, you know, included and stuff. To make the second page, once you make the first one, all you have to do is click on the top left tab. And when you hold, because if you do the plus, it's just gonna give you a blank page, or blank artboard, I should say. To duplicate the same page and edit it and make it maybe shorter, longer, whatever, you can duplicate the same one by holding Option, or you can just right click. I think you can even do this. Right click, you can do duplicate artboard, okay? And then you can name it About Page, right? In the same document, you can pick a different document. And there's your copy. Or you can hold Option and drag it over, and then rename the top, okay? So this is how now you can, you know, you're pretty much halfway there. When the saying goes, when you start something, you're halfway there. The same thing applies to this. When you start one page, you're pretty much halfway there, because the other pages, they're just a duplicate of what you did, but different in terms of content and format. This doesn't change. The menu stays the same. This might go, right? You might not have this anymore, right? This might not go be there as well. I can completely change the layout any way I want, right? I can maybe move, you know, these, let's just grab these elements and move them up here, right? So you can have a different page, and grab these elements and move them down here. I think I lost one of the images there. Oh, there it is. Well, it's coming down. I can see the thumbnail move by itself. There it is. I accidentally moved it with the rest. Okay, so there's all the images. So I can really diversify this layout and design to make it look like the About page. Maybe put the, you know, let's just do some quick editing here. I can double click, okay, and change this. I can also, let me just close these down here. I can also do this. I can grab other sources and exchange them. So if I want this to look different, I'll just grab this one, bring it into there. You see, instantly changes the design. Okay, so you can really do a number on this. This box here, this rectangle, I go to my properties, I can change that color also to something else, right? And so on and so forth. This doesn't have to be this long, this page, this About page. You can shorten it up. So to do that, I'm going to grab all my other elements here. Just be careful when you select this stuff, and bring it up, because, you know, the About page might not be as long as my home page. So that means I have all this extra space. I'm going to move this extra space down here. right? See how fast it took me to make the second page? Of course, you have to change the details and the content. But once you make the home page, you can make the about page and the rest of the pages just as easily, just by option drag. And here's the, you know, the songs page. I'm going to completely restructure this, make it look like song and little maybe YouTube links for their actual videos or songs, or maybe I can put, I think you guys are putting MP3 sound clips in your website. So that's a good way to incorporate some media elements in your page, right? I'm just going to delete that one for now. But all in all, this is how you can build a whole website in Photoshop. And what's good about this is once you have it designed, you can show it to the client and say, hey, what do you think of this? And you can give them like a JPEG or another quick little preview. You can even make it like a real website that looks cool on the browser. Like if I open this up in here, it'll look pretty real. And then people will think it's a real website, but it's not. It's just a concept. That's another trick I'm going to show you next week. For now, I just want to leave it here and don't overwhelm you, because this is a lesson by itself to learn how to build a website from scratch, as I did right now in Photoshop. First, you want to think about your concept. I always encourage my students to, and next term, we're going to focus more on this. You know, when you do like website sketches, right? Sketches or plans, you know, go under images, right? A lot of people plan websites like this till today, believe it or not, right? You know, otherwise you kind of don't have an idea in what direction you're heading. So you can do your preliminary sketches, and for UI kits, that's something else we'll do next semester, right? So you're going to create a web page that looks like this, right? And then from that, you know exactly your box setup in Photoshop, right? There's another one here. A lot of people like to do this kind of stuff. And when you do design sprints in different companies, they want to see thumbnails. So this goes in your portfolio and show them how your critical thinking works, because critical thinking is important, right? You have to know how to do the basics. And then from that, you build the website like this. You introduce colors, content, images, right? And then this becomes the prototype and the presentation. At this point, they can say, hey, change this picture, change these columns to 2 instead of 3, to get the sneakers out of the way. We don't have an Instagram page, add a, you know, whatever, a Pinterest page instead. So you can make the changes in your design format before you go coding a website in HTML. Like, does that even make sense, right? So you got to do this first. Once this is approved, the colors, the layout, the design, the content, then you start building the website, because this is so much easier to accomplish. Look, I did this in an hour. If you do a real website like this, it'll take you probably maybe 4 hours. And then again, you're messing with code and stuff. So it's easier from a designer's point of view to do something like this and present it, and then take it the next step going forward. All right, so I'm going to save this now and see if you have any questions, and stop this recording. I think it's a nice segment of the video. It captured everything that I did today from scratch and showing you other websites and so on and so forth. And I'm going to add this video here once I'm done. Once it renders, I have to upload it and compress it. And you should have that soon available. Let's go ahead and do that right now. And you can ask me questions after I press stop. Let me just give me 1 second. All right, so this concludes today's lesson. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. A quick little hello, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.